So then guys, what a great time to be alive. I just managed to get 40% off the MacBook Air and also the MacBook Pro. And both of these models are the current M1 chipset MacBook Air and also the MacBook Pro. Want to know how I managed to get 40% off both of these models? Well, let me tell you my story, how I managed to do it. Hi guys, it's Matt here. So that's right, I managed to acquire a MacBook Air with getting 40% off it. And this is the one that Apple sell right now, the current MacBook Air with an M1 chipset inside it. And like I said, you're probably wanting to know how I managed to get 40% off the original retail price. And I actually managed to get this for around £580. So right now in the UK, to buy the MacBook Air, it actually costs £1,000. So I managed to get over 40%, in fact I managed to get 42% off this MacBook Air, and let me explain how I managed to do this. So recently on my channel, if you didn't know already, I recently managed to catch COVID. You know, it was going to be inevitable, I was going to catch it. But after that, while I was sitting in bed and getting better, I decided just to scan around on eBay. And whilst I was on eBay, I actually managed to find some new MacBook Airs, or some pre-owned ones as well. And one of the MacBook Airs that came up was exactly this model that I'm holding right here. And as you can see by this listing, it was a really, really good price. And also, there was this discount code where I managed to get it even cheaper. So with combined postage, I could get this MacBook Air with an M1 chipset for £580. Now, the listing did seem fine. There seemed to be some good pictures on there. The actual MacBook came with the box, the charger, everything, and that's what you can see right here. So I was really, really happy with what I was seeing. Also, the fact as well, the reason why it was being sold is basically it was a university graduate or university person who basically bought himself a MacBook Air, wasn't getting along with it, and has decided to switch to Windows. So I decided to take the risk, buy it as I was recovering, and then guess what? It's come in the post, and it is absolutely amazing. After signing in for the first time, I decided to do a check on the battery counter on the cycle amount, and I could not believe my eyes. Look at this, it's only had 8 cycles. Then on top of this as well, I went to check the warranty, and as you can see here, the warranty isn't up till June. At the time of making this video, it is February time, so I could not believe it that I've got that much warranty still. I've still got 5 months warranty left on this MacBook Air, and I managed to get 40% off the original price. That on top, as you can see here, I got the box, I got the charger, I got everything with it. What's absolutely astonishing. What you've got to remember is that this MacBook Air is only 15 months old. Well, when I mean 15 months old, it only came out from Apple November 2020. That was 15 months ago. And yet, I managed to get this 40% off the original price if I was to buy it brand new. Now, straight away, I know what you guys are probably saying. Well, Matt, you haven't got the full warranty and you haven't bought it directly from Apple. But at the end of the day, guys, isn't that like worth the trade-off to get 40% off this? You know, you can't do that. It's unheard of to get a MacBook Air with some warranty still left on it with 40% off. That is a bargain buy right out there. And that is why I decided to get this MacBook Air. But it's not just the MacBook Airs either. I actually decided since then to go on eBay and have a look at MacBook Pros, so the M1 MacBook Pros, the 13-inch models. So as I was scrolling through, I suddenly realised that the MacBook Pros were going for £800. Or if you use one of the eBay vouchers that are available right now, you could actually pick these up for £760. That is over 41% off the original retail price. So the original retail price of a MacBook Pro 13-inch starts at £1,300 or £1,299.99 to be absolutely precise. But to get it at 41% off is absolutely incredible. So you can guess what I did. I decided to purchase myself a MacBook Pro M1 as well. Now I want to tell you why it's a great time to buy yourself one of these MacBook Pros or a MacBook Air right now. And I want to tell you the reasons with some benchmarks. But just before I do that, what I want to quickly talk about today is the giveaway on this channel. And that giveaway is for this. It is for an iPhone 13 Pro Max in a silver white colour. It's a 256GB model. And I'm going to be doing an international giveaway to give this iPhone 13 Pro Max to one lucky subscriber when we get over 350,000 subscribers. And to be honest, it's not that far away. And all you have to do to be in a chance to get your hands on this brand new iPhone 13 Pro Max is let me know in the comments below of what Apple gear or what technology gear you're planning to buy in 2022. Put it down in the comments below, and also at the same time, if you're brand new here, make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell, because when we get over 350,000 subscribers, I'll be notifying the winner of who's got their hands on this iPhone 13 Pro Max via a video, and you'll want to get that notification for that video. Now quickly, I have said this already before, there are a lot of scammers, there are a lot of spammers and some nasty people out there who are trying to take money off you. These are not me. These people are out there impersonating me, telling you to WhatsApp them, you've won a prize, there's all this kind of rubbish. They even use my picture. This is not me. If you get one of these messages, ignore them or report them to YouTube. Well, with that out of the way, let's go on then and have a look at the benchmarks for the M1 chipset and compare it to the likes of, say, the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the i9 chipset inside it, and also the 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro chipset inside it with the 8 cores with that. So this is the binned version. So let's start with having a look at some Geekbench scores. Now, straight away, what you'll notice is that with the M1 14-inch MacBook Pro, like I said, this is the 8-core version. This is the bin-down version. It's missing 2 CPU cores, and also it's also only got the 14 cores of the GPU inside it. So it is far less than the kind of standard 10-core version what you can get out there. But enough of that. This is basically the £2,000 in the UK MacBook Pro. You can also get it for like the equivalent price in the States and like in India and all loads of other countries. I could list every single country in the world, but I don't have time for that. But the point is, it's that version of it, and I'm comparing that against the MacBook Air M1 chipset, what you can find inside the likes of the 13-inch MacBook Pro as well. And the only main addition is that you get that touch bar and you also get the fan. That's probably about it, really. And also I'm going to be comparing it against the older 16-inch MacBook Pro with the i9 chipset inside it. And you'll see why that is in a moment once we completed the benchmarks. Now, as you can see here with the single core score, comparing the 14-inch MacBook Pro with that 8-core sort of core setup to the standard M1 chipset, you can see there's only a 2% difference in single core performance. It is absolutely nothing. So to be honest, there's no point even comparing that. But where the comparison does come about is definitely to do with that M1 chipset compared to the single core speed, or basically the actual scoring against the i9 MacBook Pro. As you can see, there is a 36% increase in just single core performance, what's absolutely incredible. And then if we move over to multi-core now, you can see there's some big changes here as well. So the main thing I want you to take away from these charts is the actual differences in speed of the multi-core performance. So in a moment, I'm going to show you the price of the 16-inch MacBook Pro and how much you can buy one of those with an i9 chipset inside it. And remember, this was the crown jewel MacBook Pro up until about, 18 months ago or so, until M1 came along. And that's a good point, because look at the MacBook Air here. In multi-core performance, it's actually 8% faster than the crown jewel MacBook Pro that existed 18 months ago. That is absolutely crazy. Then on top of that as well, if you look at this chart, you can see that the 14-inch MacBook Pro with that 8-core setup is only 22% faster than the M1 chipset. That's not even a quarter more faster. And yet, remember, that 14-inch MacBook Pro, brand new right now, starts at £2,000 or around about $2,000. And that is really, really a lot of money compared to where you can get yourself a MacBook Air for about $1,000 or £1,000, half the price. And that is, remember, brand new. So let me show you the 16-inch MacBook Pro with an i9 sort of core chipset inside it and how much that costs. And you'll see why getting yourself a MacBook Air or 13-inch MacBook Pro with an M1 chipset is definitely worth getting right now. So scanning around on eBay, you can see that the 16-inch MacBook Pro with that i9 chipset inside it, it's starting around about £1,300, which is quite a lot when you think about it. Especially in the fact, well, we've just seen those charts just there, that you can pick yourself up like the likes of a MacBook Air or the MacBook Pro like I have right here, and the performance is almost identical, yet you can get it far, far cheaper. Like I said, you can get a MacBook Air for around £580, almost £600, and the same with the the MacBook Pro, you can get that for under £800. And like I said, if you shop around on eBay, just eBay for example, in the likes of say in America or in the likes of say India for examples, for rupees and for dollars, it's almost the same. You're getting around about 40% sort of discounts out there right now. So it's definitely a good time to buy. Now, a lot of you might also be saying, well, Matt, the M2 MacBook Pro and the M2 MacBook Air might be coming very soon. Now, this is true. We're expecting the M2 chipset at the end of 2022. But to be deadly honest with you, the actual performance increase we're going to see on M2 over M1 probably won't be huge. I'm going to be talking like about a 20% kind of increase on what we get right now. That or maybe 30 an absolute push. It's not going to be a huge amount compared to the likes of when we actually had the Intel MacBook Air and then went on to the M1 chipset. We saw an increase of somewhere like around 200 to 300%. So you can see that's a massive difference between 200 to 300% compared to the likes of say about 20%. You're not really going to see much in it. The other thing as well, what I want to point out is that the likes of the M1 chipset is going to be supported for many years to come. And when I mean many years to come, I'm talking at least for the next 5 to 6 years. You're going to get that support if you bought one of these right now. What's absolutely incredible. Also, don't think just because they got an M1 chipset inside it, they don't have the M1 Pro or the M1 Max, that they are really sluggish. At the end of the day, like I said, comparing them to the 16-inch MacBook Pro, that i9 chipset, we were using that for Final Cut Pro. We were using that for Premiere, for Photoshop, Lightroom. And yeah, the M1 chipset is almost matching that or sometimes actually beating the performance in that chipset and can do those tasks really well and will do for many years to come. If you're just editing some video footage of say a small little vlog camera or say off your iPhone for example in Final Cut Pro, you can have no problems at all. The same with photo editing. If you're just editing some photos on the fly, no problems at all in Photoshop or in Lightroom. If you're editing say hundreds of videos, if you're editing 8K footage at 120 frames per second constantly, yeah, maybe you might need the M1 Pro or the M1 Max chipset. But for most people out there, the M1 chip is going to be absolutely fine for you. I'm putting these down because holding both of these is really heavy, to be deadly honest. But I'd say right now is definitely time to go and get your MacBook discount right now. Go out there, look them up on eBay right now because there's some great deals out there. Well guys, it's also time to wrap up this video. So if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button, and also at the same time as well, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews and comparisons, please make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time guys, I will see you really soon. Bye bye.